Our second review lesson is still going to be focused on multiplying fractions, but now we're going to look at what you do if you have a mixed number. So before we jump into the multiplication, we're going to do a quick review of how you change from an improper fraction to a mixed number and vice versa. So you will notice I already have some questions here to help us out. So the first question asks you, how many 3's divide evenly into 23? So what we want to do is we want to take this improper fraction and basically make it look something like that. All right, so there's going to be some sort of whole number, and then we will have a proper fraction after the whole number. So I'm going to think about how many 3's divide evenly into 23. That's going to be my whole number. Well, if I think about it, I know that if I go 7 times 3, I would get 21. So I know for sure 7 3's divide evenly into this 23. Then the second part, you got to figure out, okay, well, if I know I can have 7 3's divide evenly into that 23, you got to then figure out what are you left with. Okay, so I know, well, 3 times 7 is 21. So then I'm going to think, well, if I'm at 21 and I'm supposed to get to 23, I know I still need 2 more, and then this is 2/3. So 23/3 as an improper fraction would be the same thing as 7 2/3. All right, so to go the other way, if you already have a mixed number, to change it back into an improper fraction, what you're going to do is multiply your denominator by your whole number. So I'm going to go 5 times 3, so we multiply these first. And then what happens, you add the number on top. Okay, so 5 times 3, show my work on the side. 5 times 3 is 15, but then I'm going to add the 2. So I would say that this would be like 17, and then whatever this denominator is has to match. So that would be the same thing as 17/3. Okay, so we're going to look at now how you multiply. You're going to notice similar steps as the last review lesson. Okay, the only difference is now when you have a mixed number, we want to make sure to change it to an improper fraction first. Okay, and then multiply numerators, multiply denominators. Again, simplify, state in lowest terms if possible. And then the last one here, it says state your solution as a mixed number. So most of the time, if a question gives you a mixed number to start off with, usually you should state your final answer in that format. Okay, but sometimes it'll say to leave it as improper, and that's fine as well. All right, so example 1, you have an improper fraction times a proper fraction. And I actually need to pause for a second because I realized when I looked back at my first video, I made a little bit of a boo-boo. Just a quick fix, and I apologize. I realized when I looked back at this lesson, example 2 in our first review lesson, I was talking about proper fractions, multiplying by proper fractions. You'll notice question A was fine, like this is a proper fraction, top number is less than the bottom, same thing with this, same fraction. But then I realized that this question B, so 4/5 is a proper fraction, that one was fine. But here was kind of my little hiccup or my little boo-boo. So I do apologize. This question in the last lesson actually was not proper by proper. So that was a proper fraction, that was improper. So I apologize. All right, so back to the new lesson. We're going to look at improper fraction multiplied by a proper fraction. So you'll notice I've already identified, so the blue is the improper, and then I'm not sure what color this will come up as on your screen, but it's actually like a really light orange. So this 5/4 is improper, the 2/3 is a proper fraction. So I'll follow the strategy we looked at in the first lesson, and we will go top times top, and then bottom times bottom. So 5 times 2, I will get 10. 4 times 3, I will get 12. And then we're going to check, could we reduce this down? Could we simplify it? The answer is yes. I can divide top and bottom by 2, and I would say that my final answer is 5/6. So very similar to lesson number 1, the examples we covered, only difference is we had an improper. Example 2, same idea. So I have 2 impropers this time, 8/3 and 11/6. So I will multiply top times top, bottom times bottom. So we would get 88/18. Again, you want to check if you could simplify this down first. So we're going to simplify it down. So we can divide the top and the bottom by 2, and we would get 44/9. Now, based on the question actually was stated as improper, so you could leave your answer like this, 4 You could change it to a mixed number. So how many 9s divide evenly into 44? I could say that that answer is going to be 4. That'll give me 36, and then I'd be left with 8 9s. So 2 possible ways to state your solution for that one. Moving on to example 3. Technically, this would be the first question in this lesson that would really be new with the mixed numbers. So it tells you determine 2 and 5/6 times 4. So we are always going to change this into improper first. Okay, so 2 times 6 is 12. If I add 5 to that, I'm going to get 17. So that's like 17/6. Okay, and then times the original 4. You could write this as 4 over 1 if you need. If not, feel free to skip that. And again, all I've done is I have taken this mixed number, changed it to improper, and then we're just going to follow what we practiced in the first lesson. So we will go top times top, bottom times bottom. So I will get 68 over 6. I'm going to check if I can reduce that down. So we can. I can divide top and bottom by 2 to get 34 thirds. And then the original question did have a mixed number, so you might want to state your final answer. So I'm going to think 3, how many times does it go into 34? I could say it goes 11. Okay, so 3 times 11 is 33, which means I have one more. So 34 thirds would be like 11 and 1/3. Question B. So you'll notice this one is mixed number times a proper fraction. So first thing, switch your mixed number into improper. So I'm going to take this. I would go 4 times 1 is 4. Add the 3. That's the same thing as 7/4. And then still times 3/4. And then follow the usual. So we're going to go top times top, bottom times bottom. So I will get 21/16. I'm going to check if I could reduce that down, simplify it. The answer is no, but I could rewrite this as a mixed number, and I would say that's the same thing as 1 and 5/16. Question C, I have 3 1/3 times 2 and 1/10. So you'll notice this time both of them are mixed numbers. So we're going to switch both of them. I'm going to switch this. 3 times 3 is 9. If you add 1 to that, that's like you having 10 thirds. And then the second one, okay, 2 and 1/10 would be like having 10 times 2 is 20 plus 1. So that would be like having 21/10. Right, so again, these two represent the exact same number, just a different format. And then these two represent the exact same number, just a different format. And then I'll just undo that, so then I can do my top times top, bottom times bottom. So top times top, bottom times bottom. I will get 10 times 21 will be 210 over 3 times 10 will give me 30. And then I'm going to check, can I simplify that down? Can I divide top and bottom by the same number? And then what I notice is actually 30 will divide evenly into 210. So the answer to this would be 7. One other thing to point out as well, you'll notice there's a different format here on this question. So there's brackets around the numbers. So again, if you ever see a multiplication symbol, obviously it means multiply. If you see this closed dot, that implies multiplication. And if you notice there's nothing here, you just have bracket, bracket, that still implies multiplication. So one more different format just to kind of provide to you, because again, there's always tons of ways to ask the same question in math. All right, so similar to the first lesson, what I want you to do is now look at the 3 questions that say your turn. Pause the video, try the 3 questions on your own, and then come back and see how you made out. So for question A, you were looking for an answer of 75/4, or again, as a mixed number, 18 3/4. Question B, you were looking for an answer of 5/4. And then question C, you could state it as 33/6 or 5 3/6. And then notice this 3/6 can actually then be simplified down to 1/2. All right, so what I suggest now is there are 2 worksheets tied to this second review lesson. And what I would like you guys to do is in the first worksheet that I have posted, this one is mixed and I'll just say fractions. There are improper and proper fractions mixed in there. But because you do have 2 worksheets I want you to try, maybe just start by doing the odd numbers. And if those go well, you're getting the right answers, awesome. If maybe you had a bit of trouble with them and you want extra practice, you could always go back and do the evens at a later date. And then the second part to this, the second worksheet, is actually all mixed number type. So it would be similar to questions like this one here. And again, because you do have 2 worksheets I want you to try, maybe just focus on the odds. And if you wanted to do the evens later on, that would be totally fine. Also, don't forget when you're finished your 2 worksheets, draw the little, either the happy face that you got it, the neutral face, so might need a little bit more practice, or the sad face that tells me that you might possibly need additional support with this outcome. And then let me know how it goes. Have a nice day.